Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard here on CBS Sports HQ. He's Joe Musso. I'm Scott Stanford. You thought this was just another slow Tuesday.
Ho-hum.
Tom Brady on his way to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
We got our best on the case, the Pick Six podcast, coming up live for an hour. No idea what they're going to talk about. Fellas?
Welcome to the Pick Six podcast here on CBS Sports HQ. Will Brinson, Ryan Wilson, John Breach, Sean Wagner, McGough. Man, if only there was something to talk about around the NFL. A very slow day. Started with some breakfast, lounging around the house, sip a cup of coffee. Tom Brady left the Patriots this morning, and before we go to bed, he's going to be with the freaking Buccaneers. This is insane. It all happened as Breach Stradamus predicted back on March 3rd. John Breach actually said Tom Brady, his bold predictions, would end up going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not official. It can't be official, of course, until the start of the league year at 4 p.m. on Wednesday when free agency opens. But I have a very simple question here for you, John Breach. Did Tom Brady do the right thing?
Brinson, Tom Brady absolutely did the right thing here. You look at the weapons he had last year in New England, he didn't have any. And now he's going to Tampa Bay. He has Mike Evans. He has Chris Godwin. He has two tight ends. We've seen what Tom Brady does when he has tight ends in his offense. He's nearly unstoppable. This is like going from a covered wagon to a Ferrari. That is what Brady is doing, jumping from the Patriots offense to the Buccaneers offense. I think he is going to be borderline unstoppable with one little caveat there. The Buccaneers have to get some offensive linemen because Tom Brady is 42 years old. He's going to be 43 when the season starts. And if they can't protect him, that man could get destroyed. I'm sure Ryan Wilson will be able to tell us what the Bucs should do in the draft, if there's some linemen out there. Or maybe Jason Light needs to make a few more phone calls. Maybe you try to trade for Trent Williams. Maybe you try to sign Jason Peters. There are offensive linemen out there to be had. But the Buccaneers have to do something because you have to protect your new $30 million investment, Tom Brady. But I love this move for the Buccaneers. I love this move for Tom Brady. I love this move for Tampa Bay. I love this move for former Backstreet Boy Nick Carter, who has already tweeted about it. I love this move for everyone in Florida.
I love this move for us, John. It gives us something to talk about, not only right now when there are no sports going on, but we'll be talking about this for week after week, and right up until the point where Tom Brady gets crushed because he doesn't have any offensive line help and he has to be dragged off the field. But I think you're right about the offensive line stuff. They have to sort that out. That has to be priority number one now that the quarterback situation is settled and settled by a large margin. But it's hard not to love this team, what they look like now. It's hard not to love Bruce Arians, who feels like he's going to be the perfect type of coach, offensive-minded wise, and also in terms of just being a player's coach for Tom Brady, who has been under the thumb of Bill Belichick for 20 years. Tom Brady, no doubt, wants to prove to the rest of the league and to himself, I don't need Bill Belichick to win a Super Bowl. We'll see if that happens because there are a lot of moving parts to this, and we know that while everyone doesn't love the structure in New England, it is a proven method of winning football games. Tampa Bay, as our guy Jonathan Jones mentioned all day on HQ, has not been to the playoffs since George W. Bush was in office, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Breach mentioned the draft angle for what the Buccaneers might do. They have three picks in the first three rounds. They could take defensive line help and offensive line help. Now that Tom Brady's there, I would only take offensive linemen. That's all I would draft. They don't need help at wide receiver or tight end. We have that covered. And this team looks like it's going to be legit. One thing I'll point out, before we came on, William Hill, we saw the numbers. 7.9 is the estimated wins with Tom Brady. That puts the over under 7.5. I think you have to love the over, Sean.
Yeah. I love this angle for Tom Brady. Look, if he was going to leave, I think Tampa Bay was the best spot for him to go to. You look at the weapons he's going to have in offense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He loves throwing the tight ends, as Breach mentioned. He doesn't have a Gronk there. There's not many Gronks across the league. There might only be one in San Francisco. He's got Cameron Brate. He's got O.J. Howard. Two guys who can help be that short passing option so he doesn't get killed behind that offensive line. And you think about the Bucs defense. It flies under the radar. They went from 32nd by DVOA to number 5 in the span of one season under Todd Bowles. This is a playoff team. Absolutely, with Tom Brady. Take the over on their win total. I think they're winning 10 games. I think they're going to the playoffs. I don't know about the Super Bowl. We'll see, in January. We'll see what happens by then. That said, I've said since day one, I thought Tom Brady should stay in New England. I never really understood why he was flirting with other teams. I still stand by that. Look, I'm happy he went to Tampa Bay. Out of all the options, I think he picked the best one. I still think Breach is like overselling the Patriots' demise a little bit. This team won 12 games last year. They weren't terrible. I think you trust Bill Belichick to put more pieces in place around you. Bruce Arians is great. He's not Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time. So I like that Brady picked Tampa Bay if he was going to leave. I personally would have preferred he go back to New England, spend his entire career with one team, try to win one more with Bill Belichick. But to Ryan's point, this is much more fascinating. And from our perspective, I'm glad it happened because it gives us something to talk about.
Well, the downside is that they don't play the Patriots in the regular season. The Buccaneers don't play the Patriots in the regular season in 2020. We would love to see Belichick against Brady, hashing that out, trying to figure out the legacies that are at stake for the various people involved here and what it means if Belichick and Brady square off. I think there is a bit of a mistake potential here because you are leaving the comfort of New England, where you have won 6 Super Bowls, where you have been for 20 years, where you know every inch of the facility. On the other hand, you're getting a ton of money from Tampa Bay. You're getting to be the storyline, literally the only storyline in sports, this month, this week, maybe even longer, because of things that are going on in the world around us. And Tom Brady is going to be celebrated. He's going to be treated like a king down there. He's not going to be in this. What was it? Johnny Boy from Foxborough, whatever Bill Belichick called him. Like, he's going to be Bruce Arians' guy. He is going to be making roster decisions. He's going to be incorporating the offense. He's going to be Bruce Arians will grab a beer. Tom Brady will grab like an avocado smoothie or something like that. But they'll get together afterwards and talk about the games and talk about practices. And I think it'll rejuvenate him. A lot of times we see guys go to new landing spots or have new, offenses that come in. They have to deal with new coaches, and it really rejuvenates them in terms of making them work harder and get ready. I think one of the things you'd be concerned about might be a shortened offseason, but that's a problem for down the road. For right now, it is hard not to like Tom Brady's decision to go to Tampa Bay, to move to the NFC, and to go to a place with a lot of weapons. Now, having said that, Ryan teased the win total. I'm not going to give you 7.5. I don't care what the projections say. Sportsline can say all they want, and I trust Stephen O. Fantastic projections, tremendous projections, love his projections, but not going to give you 7.5. That's crazy. 9.5 is your over-under for wins next year, John Breach. Over or under 9.5 wins for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020.
Well, let me just say this. This team won 7 wins with a quarterback who threw 30 interceptions and set the NFL record for pick sixes in a season. Tom Brady is not going to throw 7 pick sixes. Tom Brady is not going to throw 30 interceptions. I don't think Tom Brady's thrown 30 interceptions in his past 3 seasons combined. Jameis Winston cost this team multiple wins. He had the defense on their heels all season because he was putting them in awkward situations. Brady does a good job of protecting the ball and not doing that. I think that's worth at least 2 wins alone. That gets them to 9. I think their schedule's a little bit easier this year. I think the Bucs are a lock to get to 10, but that's right at that 9.5. So I am going to take the over, but I will say, Brinson, you did mention that Brady does not play the Patriots and Bill Belichick this year. They do have a couple fascinating games on their schedule. Obviously, they're going to play the Falcons twice. That's Matt Ryan, MVP versus MVP. They're going to play the Saints twice. That's Tom Brady versus Drew Brees. We get 40-year-olds over the hill. We get to see that twice a season. You're going to love that because you're almost 40. And then also we get Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes because the Buccaneers play the Chiefs. So we get Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. So this is going to be a very fascinating schedule for the Buccaneers. They're going to be in prime time. They're going to max that thing out. Tampa Bay's a small market team that doesn't usually get the national spotlight. It's going to be on them for 17 straight weeks, but I'm taking the over.
Breach, I was hoping to catch you in a lie. Tom Brady had 27 interceptions the last 3 years. You just eked in under the line there. Congrats to you. But here's the thing. Stephen O., our guy, as Brinson pointed out, 7.9 on the simulation wins for the Bucs next year. Wins over Wilson, my proprietary software to pick simulation wins, 8.5. And I like the over 8.5. I like the under 9.5. I think that's right there in the sweet spot. I think you're taking too much away from Jameis Winston because I'll give you another fun fact, John Breach. I think you're the one who said, guess who had the same QBR last year? Jameis Winston and Tom Brady. So I love the fact that he's going to Tampa Bay. I love all the things we just talked about. But at the end of the day, he's 42 years old. He takes one big hit. And then where are you if you're Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers? So I think you have to guard against that. Drew Brees is getting older, but I still think he has the ability to lead the Saints. We know the Panthers are done, and we'll see what happens with the Falcons and the rest of that division. One more thing I wanted to point out quickly. I mentioned the draft briefly in the previous segment. There's still a chance, if you're Bruce Arians and Jason like the GM, that you draft a quarterback if there's one there in the second round that you like a lot, someone like Jacob Eason out of Washington. So that's something to look out for. Tom Brady presumably won't play forever. Maybe he does play 3 more years. If he plays something less than that, that might be something you target as an organization moving forward. But that's a conversation for a later time. Right now, it's all about Tommy T, our guy Tommy B, going to TB.
I have to side with the preacher. I'm taking the over. This is a double-digit win team, and I think you say that with the understanding or the hope that this Buccaneers team is still not done adding pieces to this offense. I think they got to get a pass-catching running back to help out Brady in that short passing game. One name to keep an eye on, the Titans did just cut Dion Lewis, and Dion Lewis obviously was not very good in Nashville. He was fantastic in New England, obviously, as we all know, with Tom Brady. That would be a very cheap signing because everyone's down on a 29-year-old running back who's coming off 2 very unproductive seasons. I think that would make a whole lot of sense. And I want to repeat this because it flies under the radar. This Buccaneers defense was top 5 by DVOA. Top 5. This is a good defense that has young pieces that I think is only going to get better. Shaq Barrett's coming back. JPP is coming back. I think this defense is going to stay legit. And that lessens the burden on Tom Brady, just like he did this past season. He led a Patriots team with no offensive weapons. He helped them to get to 12 wins. This is going to be very similar, except he has a lot more weapons. The key is going to be, does Bruce Arians, adjust his offense? Because traditionally, he does like the 7-step drops. He does like to chug it deep. And as Ryan mentioned, it's a 42-year-old quarterback. One bad hit, season over, career over. He can't have that happen. The thing is, Bruce Arians has been around a long time. He is a smart coach. He's not going to ask Brady to do that. He's not dumb. He's not going to sign 42-year-old Tom Brady just to get him killed in the first month of his first season. So I have faith in Bruce Arians. I have faith right now in Jason Licht, which is funny to say because I had never felt that way in my life before about him. But I have faith that they're going to add more weapons around him. I'm taking the over, not just because of Brady, but because of this defense. And, Ryan mentioned the QBR being the same. Well, there's a lot of quarterback stats. And Jameis Winston was 25th by DVOA. Brady was right around average, 16th or 17th. You get that upgrade. I think you add 3 wins to that 7-win team. Buccaneers going to the playoffs. I'll take the over. At least 10 wins, I think.
Yeah, Ryan Wilson, what are you doing? You're a Steelers guy. You've been watching your team get tortured by Tom Brady for 20 years. And you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to bet against Tom Brady. That seems like a good thing to do. When has betting against Tom Brady ever worked out well for anybody? The answer is never, unless it was 2008 and then he wouldn't even play, or 2008 and then he wouldn't even play in 2008. So I'm going to take the over here at 9.5 as well. They get to play the Panthers twice. The Panthers they're not technically tanking. They're just like veering towards a weird tank. The Falcons are a team that almost fired their head coach and GM last year and looked a little lost in the woods, and Austin Hooper's departed. I'm not sure their defense is going to massively improve. I think when you look at the Saints, yes, they have Drew Brees. Yes, they have Alvin Kamara. Yes, they have Taysom Hill, who's the future quarterback there. But, what if Drew Brees gets hurt and there's no Teddy Bridgewater this time around? There's a potential to sort of lose some games there. I just think that Tom Brady is going to – the rejuvenation, the fact that he's there, you're going to see this guy come out and be ready to play, ready to put up some stats, and ready to show the world that he can do a lot of things that they didn't think he could do after last year when he had to play with what bartenders and bouncers, as Pete Prisco likes to call them. So I will absolutely take the over on that. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you one thing we don't like about Tom Brady signing with the Buccaneers, potentially, as well as discuss the Super Bowl odds, and maybe there's some other news around the NFL. Stick right here with the Pick Six Pod on CBS Sports HQ.